Yo, what's up, blessed ones? This is your host, Blair, and you are now in the Blair podcast. Thank you for listening. I know I'm back again. I've been missing in action, just a lot going on. It's, just typical nigga shit. Well, I don't want to call myself a nigga. I'm not a nigga. I'm a king. I'm a god. But, for those listening who are still, in that process of elevating and progressing, prospering and being positive, I just wanted to come up here today. This is a special episode of In the Blair podcast. A lot going on. I actually have a question. We'll get right into it. Are you content or complacent? And that question was brought to my attention by a near dear friend of mine, gathered, and she's a friend, doctor, independent woman, black woman, and like I said, one of my closest friends, and I just wanted to, bring it to you all's attention because we talk about the podcast often, usually, and like I said, any questions, suggestions, requests, I'm all here for it. That's what In the Blair podcast is all about. It's about, letting the people bring in, some type of dialogue or, contribution to the show. And I am doing this from my phone because I'm actually taking a nature walk right now, and I feel like I had to give y'all some content. And like again, speaking of content, the question is, are you content or complacent? And I'll be the first one to ask that, and that is, I'm contemplating. And for those of you who know me as a writer, for those who just know me as a very serious person, big guy, you can take it how you want, but I'm contemplating because I do not know if I'm content or complacent. So that's why I'm contemplating. And if you put both of those words together, you get contemplating. So, on behalf of all those who are in relationships, those who represents black love, those who represents, just anything dealing with other individuals, then this question is for you. And even if it's not, I'll be fair and say even if you're not in a relationship. But the question is, are you content or complacent? And those of you who want to respond, feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment. This is on all streaming platforms and the Blair podcast. You can comment on my SoundCloud. But reason why it was brought to my attention was because, me being in a current relationship and just sometimes having differences of views, differences of opinions, it gets a little tricky sometimes. And there was this message on Reddit where this gentleman was talking about how his partner wasn't happy or satisfied with, him as far as being in a relationship. And, it kind of triggered something in me as well, because we all know, or at least I would like to believe that we all know that when you're in a relationship, especially a partnership, it is not about you. It is about that other person. It is about you, but it's not your place to, say, I'm in this relationship and I'm going to, get everything out of it, and you're not giving anything back. If you're in a relationship, for me, and to me, it's all about, mutual and, shared compassion and affection. So, for those of you who ever been in a relationship and felt like you're that the relationship is one-sided, you have to then look at your goals, look at what you want out of that relationship, because a lot of times, here's something that's very important when it comes to relationships. Loving somebody and being in love with somebody are two different things. This is something that I still have been learning as I continue to progress and grow. And my relationship is when you love someone, you care for them and you love them, and you want them to be happy, of course. But when you're in love with someone, it is a back and forth thing. It's more to it. You don't only just care about what that person's giving to you and how this person is providing for you, but you also want to be a caregiver and a provider for that person. That is the difference. So when we talk about being content, we're talking about satisfactory. You can be with someone who is completely satisfied with how the relationship is going, because they might not have that ambition or aspiration for it to be any more than, y'all spending time together, y'all, going out every once in a while, dating and building, and then you might have higher aspirations or less aspirations. So if you are unhappy in your relationship, not going to say that you should end that relationship, but you do have to have a sit down and have a conversation and talk about goals and talk about, what y'all intentions are. Me and my lady, we have conversations about this, whether it's dealing with children, whether it's dealing with each other, whether it's dealing with, our future together and our individual, goals. We talk about that. We don't always see eye to eye. We don't always agree. We don't always even get along. But it is based on building that strong foundation. And I always want to put my relationships and build my foundation on God. But at the end of the day, life still happens. So sometimes we oftentimes get lost in the sauce. Okay, so again, I don't want to be with you. I wasn't going to be here with you all along, but I just wanted to present this question to you. Like I said, I'm contemplating. I'm not content. I'm not complacent, because I feel like every day it's a different thing. My attitude changed. My goals and my dreams are pretty much the same until I feel that there's something else. But I think it's more about knowledge. The more you know, not the more you know, but when you learn something new and experience something different, you might now have a different idea or a different focus. And I think that is important. That's why you have to, like I said, have that strong foundation, because people change every day. So the goals will change. One minute you can be happy, the next day you can be unhappy. That's why it's important to have joy, because joy is a lot stronger than happiness and unhappiness and security. So if your relationship is based on sex, then you're gonna always be desiring more, and after a while you're gonna get bored, or you're gonna get complacent and be like, hey, I want something different. Not to say this is why a lot of people cheat, but this is important to know that if you are unsatisfied in a relationship, it's always important to address it with your partner and discuss these things. I say if you can't communicate with your partner, then there's an issue, because there's going to be times where y'all probably won't get along and y'all probably don't want to talk to each other, but you have to figure out a time and make time to do it. Okay? So I do want to share something with you all. Okay, this is very personal. Those of you who are listening, thank you. Those of you who never listened before and are new, don't know what I'm talking about, just bear with me. So I used to be married. I was married for let me see. I was married 2 years and maybe like a year and a half of that, or maybe even like, I think I was, like we was married from April 8th, 2017, 2017 to 2019, I would say. So we was married for a year, some change, blah, blah, blah. But, I have my own struggles with infidelity. I don't want to, discuss the things that she did wrong, but the things that I did wrong is probably something that's personal for me, and not really being the husband that she desired or wanted. Sometimes when you're in a relationship, you like this person. Sometimes you might have mutual feelings for one another. Sometimes you might be physically attracted to this person. Sometimes you might be spiritually attracted, mentally attracted, all that stuff. And then, you think, okay, it fits. We have the same belief system. We want the same things. Let's get married. And then there's always something that tells you, that gives you that confirmation. So for me personally, I moved on that. But probably pretty much after a year of marriage, after the struggles, the hard times, being evicted, going back to living home with my mom, and then moving back and then getting evicted from that place, one having a job, one not having a job, then switching it around, roles reversals, having children, finding sitters, with all these struggles, things get a little difficult. And this is the reason why I say, I'm not driven by money, but money is important and necessary when you don't have it. Because the one thing that I learned being married is that the temperature changes our attitudes. So when you're struggling financially and you feel like you're the only person doing something, and you're the only person, and maybe even if you don't feel like you're the only person doing something, but when you start feeling that struggle and start feeling that anxiety and start feeling that, hey, we struggling and doing it, because again, I was out of work for a little bit. She was supporting us for a little while, and vice versa. The roles reversed throughout the times that we was married, even before we was married. But things when money got tight and things started to stop, things didn't start going the way that we wanted them to. Things started changing, attitudes started changing. And I know me, for personally, my love language is words of affirmation. That's me taking the test and just realizing, knowing myself. So there's a lot of stuff that I do now that is still the same that I was doing when I was married, and my current relationship. Some things that I don't do, but everything's a process. That's why I say, as long as you're progressing, as long as you're staying positive and productive, you'll work through it. Some things are going to change just like that, and then other things are going to take a little bit of time, especially when you're older. Like, me, I was already in my 30s. I was in my 30s, first marriage, had a son, all that stuff. So when you have expectations for your relationship and those expectations aren't being met, sometimes things change. So when you come across certain things that might say, okay, I'm enjoying this, because for me, like I said, it wasn't just infidelity that was the issue. That might have been the reason why, we're no longer together, but there was other factors that played a part in it. It's a little bit different when, like, imagine, if you're pretty much well off financially, there might be a little bit more leeway in that relationship, because it's like you're providing me security, and I know that you're handling business, but you're not being faithful. Like, there's relationships like that where you're in a relationship with someone and you're not faithful, but you're financially secure. And I always use this as an example. Kingdom Come, which starred, LL Cool J, Whoopi Goldberg, Anthony Anderson, Jada Pinkett, Toni Braxton was in it, and I believe she was the wife of this one guy that Jada Pinkett was just crazy over. She was married to Anthony Anderson, but They went to the funeral of LL Cool J and Anthony Anderson. That was at the funeral. Jada Pinkett pointed out, it was like, hey, where's your fine husband at? And, she was like, Toni Braxton was like, I don't know. Probably I was some Gucci mama somewhere. And then Jada Pinkett was seemed like she was in awe. And that there was a tale. And, she wasn't tripping though, because she said, hey, I have everything that I wanted. I got children, I got a house, got like everything that I asked for. But hey, my husband's unfaithful. I don't know what their marital status was, if they were separated, if they was divorced or not. But the whole fact was, sometimes when you're in a relationship and you are secure, there are a lot of things that are excused. Not saying that it's right, but there's a lot of things that are excused. Now, same thing with even current relationships, whether you're not married. It's like, okay, this dude is a dog, or this woman is a whore or something, but the sex is good. So that's going to sometimes excuse it. So, like, if you're satisfied somewhere in the relationship, that might keep you in a relationship longer. And that does cause some toxic traits in the long run, but it is what it is. So as I was doing my dirt, I knew what I was doing was wrong. My infidelity that I had done, I knew was wrong. The person that I was doing my infidelity with knew my situation. But it was like, hey, I wasn't selling a dream, but at that time I really felt like, the marriage isn't going to last anyway. I'm going to, end it, and, we can move forward with our fling. But sometimes, we get into one of those bonds. That's why it's very important when it comes to marriage, because marriage is one of those type of things that is very sacred. I feel bad and ashamed about it still, but I'm able to move forward and say, I'm not like that anymore. I'm not going to do that ever again, because if I am in a position where I feel like I have to do that, or where I feel like where I can't trust myself, it's better for me to, find some help or talk to my partner about it. Me and my significant other now, we're currently in a relationship, and we have our problems just like most couples, but I am fighting to make sure she is fighting to make sure we are trying to make it work as much as we can. And because we know when we have other things in our life that's going on, it is hard to really focus on one another. It is hard to oftentimes, not argue about things, because when we want attention, we might have something to do, might not be in the mood, and that's the thing. You got to find joy. My children gives me joy. Just being able to see her smile gives me joy, so that's what keeps me there. But like, again, I am complacent, because there are certain things, not just in my relationship, but in life, that I still want to pursue. Certain things that I feel can be better, certain things that I feel need to change. So I don't want to say that I'm content, but I also don't want to say I'm complacent, because if I did, that would mean that, hey, that's secure and that's solidified, and it's not. So I share this with you all because I know that there's people out here. If you are listening, those of you who are listening, I do want to give a shout out to my guy Eric Tyler Jordan, who had upped up my subscription levels, told friends. But I also want to give a shout out to my friend Don Gavis, who posed this question and posed this challenge to me, where I wanted to share with you all. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, like, again, we we all have these relationship goals, this ideal relationship. We want to be like the Obama. We want to be like the Pickett Smiths. We want to be like we want to have all these celebrity relationship goals, but we don't want to have their problems. We got to sit here and play on the field before we can reach the goal. So just remember to keep that in mind. Next time you want to set relationship goals, it's fine to have them, great to have them. But, and like I said, not saying that all relationships have to have struggles, but there's work that has to get put in. There was actually something else that was asked where it made me wonder, like, if God intended for you to have something, should it be hard? Should it be difficult? And and that is a really good question where I don't even know the answer to it. I want to say maybe not easy, but easier. Like, if God wanted you to have something, would you have to work for it, or would you just have it? Like say if you was attracted to someone and you're feeling their vibe, you're liking somebody, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm about to pray for this. I'm about to pray, ask God to, hey, if this is meant to be, like, hey, let me have it. And it's like, if you pursue what you like, whether you try the person, whether it's a job, whether it's a person, whether it's anything, it's going to fall into place. Now, is it as simple as saying, hey, I want to apply for this job, and then you get the job right off the bat, or do you still have to have some type of credentials? Same thing with relationships. What qualifies you to be in a relationship with this person? Whether you feel like that you're worthy, deserving, whatever, if you are in a relationship and you're going through some personal things that doesn't have anything to do with your partner, is it fair to keep it to yourself, or should you discuss it with your partner? One thing I learned when I was at a young age, I used to have these little papers, these sheets that I could put on my wall that had like different, quotes and different, advice and stuff, where it says never discuss your problems with someone who can't solve them. But, I don't really feel like that's true. But I think certain things are, certain things you should know. You should be able to read the room where it's like, okay, if you're having a personal issue that don't have anything to do with your partner, should you ask? Should you come talk to them about it? Sometimes you can, but other times I don't think you probably should, because if you know your partner well enough, and it's kind of one of these things of being where it's like kind of like mediocre, because there's moments where how your partner's going to react to certain things, so it's better not to even mention it or even talk about it, because then it's going to start a whole new thing. But then there's that one moment, there's other times where you'll be surprised, like, oh, I'm surprised. So this happens in life, this happens in my life, this happens in relationships. But blessings, like I said, I wasn't going to be long. But yeah, I think this is very much important, to really think about. Like, so if you are married and y'all are going through things, or even if y'all not going through things, just think about where, what you want out of a relationship. Is it being met? Is it being worked on? Just certain things. Like me, I know for me, like I said, I'm contemplating, because I am not satisfied nor satisfied. I am satisfied yet not satisfied, because there's certain things that I'm happy with, and then there are certain things that I'm not happy with. But it goes back against the choice. Should you be happy all around the board in your relationship, or should you work out the things that can be worked out, and then the things that can't, just deal with? So bless one. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for your short time. And again, I do want to give a shout out. I'm wearing my Greenwood District shirt right now. Power to the kings. Power to the queens. This is Black excellence at its best. And this is, Blair, your cancer care bear. Y'all continue to stay safe, stay prosperous, productive, and positive. And again, if you have any questions, suggestions, requests, please feel free to comment. Feel free to message me. All the information you need is right there. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. It is hot like a boiling pot. So please, please, please drink lots of cold water. Pour some ice on it. But that's me. That's my time. I'll get with y'all later. Let's try to stay more updated. Come on.